Hey there. This is your host, Angela D. Stribling of A New After Sunday, and we're on WDRB Media, the voice of the community, giving you double the information and inspiration. You can tune in every Thursday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Streamer, TuneIn, WDRB Media, Apple Music, and iHeart. Also, you can catch us every Saturday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on YouTube on the Angela D. Stribling channel. Today I have my co-host Monn Washington in the building. How you doing today, my brother?
Hola, all my peoples. Hola. What's going on? How's everybody doing today?
Everybody's amazing. Everybody's amazing.
Yes,
And today's
you are.
guest
Yes,
is a
you are. It's a
wonderful,
great day for this guest right here.
yes,
Yes, sir. Go, girl, go.
it's Miss Weldianne Scales. I've had the pleasure to come to know her and the work that we do for the community. And Miss Weldianne Scales, welcome into A New After Sunday. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Thank you so much for allowing me to come on your platform and to speak with the community.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
You and Modiane and I met. I talk about different jobs that I have, and another one, which I very rarely mention on air, is that I'm also a councilwoman in my community of Swissville Borough in Swissville, Pennsylvania, and I had the pleasure to allow this woman to take me under her wing and humbly and gratefully for that experience to allow her to teach me the ropes of what a councilwoman does. And so I'm going to allow her and offer her to you and allow her to share how she got started and what her motivation is behind serving the community and what was how she got started. So you want to go ahead and share your story?
Absolutely. Yes, I'm Weldianne Scales. You guys can call me Weldy. I have been in Swissville now for almost 9 years. I am married. I have two beautiful children. And with my husband is considered to be a generational resident.
Uh-huh.
So we are technically fourth generation residents raising fifth generation residents in the borough of Swissville. I am a practicing attorney. Been practicing law for several years in the areas of immigration, civil litigation, real estate, landlord tenant, and also criminal defense. And as Angela also noted, I'm also a councilwoman for the borough of Swissville, the first Black woman elected to serve in this.
Woo! All right now.
And I've been serving in this role now for 4 years as the vice president. I am also the chair and the founder of Swissville Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee. And I've been the spearhead behind free legal clinics that have existed in Swissville, and also the numerous different legislative acts or celebrations that embrace our diversity within Swissville, but also protects it as well.
Absolutely.
Um, I am always a champion for our youth because, as a mom, for one, and an aunt of children, I truly believe that our children are the future stakeholders of the community, but they also need our support the most.
Yeah.
They need our support the most, and we should be there to assist them with having a fair chance at life. So these are all my accolades, right? But this is not where I started.
Right.
It took a journey to get here. I'm actually from Central Florida, and before meeting my husband, I was a single parent. My daughter, who's now 16 and just the better version of me, we essentially went through life together.
Yes.
And I it was hard. It
Yeah.
was very hard raising a daughter on my own. And we had to rely on government assistance. So
Yes.
government housing, food stamps, daycare, whatever type of support existed, that was the support that I needed.
Right.
Okay.
And when I would have difficulties throughout school, and I had them, it was challenging to go to school, attend classes, pick up your kid, feed your
Yes.
kid, tend to your child, put your child to bed, and then pop open that laptop or that book and start studying so that you can pass those tests or complete those assignments. So during those challenging moments where I struggled, there was always at least someone that would listen to me.
Yeah.
Maybe that be a professor, maybe that be a family member, or maybe that be somebody within the community. Somebody would listen to me and ask and just simply say, what's going on? And in those moments, that is when I actually receive the help that I need.
Right. Exactly.
And so I understood that I did not get here on my own.
Absolutely.
That it took support, it took community, it took government assistance, it took resources to help me to get to where I'm at today.
Yes.
And so now that I'm an attorney and now, I'm married and things, my goal now is to reach back.
Absolutely.
Because when I was standing in those lines for housing and for food stamps and everything, I wasn't standing there by myself.
Absolutely.
There was other folks sitting there with me.
That's right.
And I know that if we truly want to make our community stronger, which essentially makes us stronger as people,
Right.
we have to reach back and we have to be a listening ear to provide resources
Absolutely.
and support in a fair manner, because not everybody needs the same level of support, but they need support.
Right.
Correct.
And that is what actually fuels the work that I do.
Mm-hmm.
Because of the simple fact I care.
Exactly.
I care because that was once me.
Exactly.
I came from, I have parents that love me and want the best for me, and yet I ran into life.
Exactly.
That's right.
I ran into normal life challenges. And I understand that everybody needs to be heard.
Yes.
Everybody needs a fair chance. And so that is what propelled me to run for office for Swissvale.
Yes.
Me identifying and understanding what the needs of the community were. And it wasn't that I just know it all. No, I sat and I listened.
Exactly.
I attended community different sessions, community different events, and I listened to people. And I understood that this is what the community is asking for. And this is what we need if we actually want to have a safe community. Your community is not safe
Exactly.
if you are over here, not celebrating and protecting the diversity that's within it.
Exactly.
That's right.
It's not a safe community, nor
Exactly.
is it a thriving community as well. And so I took my knowledge of the law, but then also my passions to serve in the role as the counsel. Now I am now running for magistrate judge. Why? Do I just like punishment? No,
Right. Right.
I like to serve the people.
Yeah.
And the people deserve to have a magistrate, for one, that knows the law.
Exactly.
A lot of my campaign has been an educational forum, because many do not know that it is not a requirement to be a lawyer or to have a law degree to serve as the magistrate judge. But that's also problematic.
That's what I would think, because I would think you would need to have some background in law to kind of make the decisions that you'll be making.
There's so many different elements of the law that take place at the magistrate level. There's the substantive law, which is like that particular subject matter.
Okay.
So a contract dispute says landlord tenant.
Right.
We're arguing about contract issues, payment of rent. Well, contract law is now into place. And Pennsylvania has a landlord tenant act. That's another element of the law. But then what if somebody wants to bring in all their, their support, their people, their paperwork and everything to support them? Well, that's evidentiary rules of law. There are so many different aspects of the law that take place for that particular matter to be properly heard and the law to actually be upheld.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have to have an understanding of, when you make a ruling, how does that impact that individual's life?
Exactly.
Right.
What is the trickle down effect? What is the overall, impact of that decision?
Yes.
And that is understanding the law. Because now it goes beyond, the Landlord Tenant Act, the evidentiary rules. Now we're looking into procedure. Now
Right.
we're looking into, how does this particular ruling play on this potential individual's life down the road?
Right.
And that's just the Landlord Tenant Act. The
Mm-hmm.
magistrate oversees criminal matters, civil matters, real estate matters,
Right.
traffic matters, non-traffic matters. They can 1 week oversee a wedding and the next week or the next day a homicide case.
Mm.
That is a lot of power.
Yeah. Yeah.
A lot of power. And it's the first stop. It's the first introduction to the legal system. And if it is not a criminal case,
Right.
then the law does not require the court to supply you with an attorney. So that means individuals that are coming before the court for anything other than a criminal matter, if you don't have the finances to hire a private attorney,
Right.
9 times out of 10, they're showing up pro se.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And they're expecting that this judge is going to hear them out.
Right. Fairly.
And, we do have some good magistrates. I will say that. I've been fortunate enough to practice law throughout the state of Pennsylvania. And I've seen some really good magistrates in terms of how they mediate cases, how they uphold the law, how they handle cases. But then I'm going to be completely frank and honest with the community. I've seen some magistrates that were biased. I've seen magistrates, how they rule when they don't know the law.
Right.
I see how, unfortunately, that impacts not only the adults, but the youth that can come before that courtroom.
Absolutely.
Because our magistrate, and when I say our, this magistrate, it covers Swissvale, Forest Hills, Braddock Hills, Churchill, and Chalfont. It oversees all of the truancy cases for the Woodland Hills District. So this is the place that if our children have a belief that they are supposed to trust this judge or this court system, this is the place that when our children go before the court, they're either going to get help or they're going to be torn down.
Oh my goodness, yes, Weldy.
Absolutely, yes.
So this is an opportunity not only to uphold the law fairly and, to have a magistrate that knows the law, but then also have a magistrate that is actually committed to our community. That's another piece of it.
Yeah.
Because if you know the law, but you don't identify with the community,
right?
That's another problem. Because now, although you understand how these decisions will impact these individuals legally, now do you really have a connection with this community to know how you're building up this community or tearing it down?
Exactly.
By the rulings that you issue from this bench.
Exactly.
And those are the many reasons why I've decided to run. And those are the many reasons why I believe that I'm the best candidate. Because not only am I well-versed in the law, I have the experience. I've actually practiced and handled the cases that our magistrate court actually oversees.
Okay.
I have a true commitment to our community. I actually identify with our community. And one thing that no one's talking about is there is a serious lack of representation at our magistrate courts. We have 48 in Allegheny County. There are only 2 women of color.
Oh, wow. Okay.
2 women of color. And there's 5 of color overall.
Okay.
That's not representation.
Exactly.
That's not
especially with the cases that are being come through is probably more diverse than not.
You definitely will see way more minorities that come before those courtrooms.
Absolutely.
And unfortunately, they're not coming before judges that look
like them. Yeah.
With them.
Yeah.
Okay. I have a question for you.
Sure.
Since they say that the justice is blind, if elected, let's say you have a case that may inadvertently not just change the rules and the laws in your district, but across the state, if not affecting other states. Are you willing to make that tough call?
So, as candidates for judicial roles, we can't make promises. So I'll make that prefaces there. But I know exactly what you're talking about. You're talking about something that's very new. This is not even an issue yet. This hasn't even been decided by the courts in terms of how you would actually rule on this particular issue. And in those instances, what you do have to take a look at is you have to look at how that particular law has been interpreted. So when a law goes into effect, there's generally some legislative notes and everything else that's associated with that rule that basically indicates what was the overall purpose of that rule of law. And so if there has not been a ruling yet, that's called a case of first impression. So on the criminal sense, cases that come before a magistrate, the magistrate's role is determine whether or not that criminal case should be held over. Meaning, is there enough evidence on a prima facie level? Prima facie for magistrate is it likely or not that this occurred based upon the evidence that's before the court? And the magistrate's role is to decide whether or not prima facie hasn't been met. So in that instance, the decision would actually be to deny it. But if the magistrate determines that a prima facie standard has been met, then they don't determine guilt or innocence. They determine whether or not that case should actually be held over.
Okay.
Now that's the criminal sense of things. So in terms of case of first impressions from the criminal sense, you're looking at it from a perspective of if this case should be held over. Now, case of first impressions would come into effect a lot of times with those real estate cases, those civil cases, those non-traffic cases, because there's most likely 9 times out of 10 a lot of instances where that particular matter has not been decided before the courts. And that is an actual area that the magistrate judge has the power to make the decision for. So if it's a case of first impression, meaning there's no rule of law out there to say that this is how you should rule, I would, if elected, I would have that power to make a case of first impression ruling.
Good answer.
Very great. Very good answer. So, Ms. Scales, I'm sure you're campaigning and you're out here. Are you looking for any volunteers? Are you having any events that people can come and be a part of?
I can take all the help I can get. This is a grassroots. Do you hear this, community? Grassroots.
Yes.
You are a champion for the people. Your campaign is grassroots.
Right.
It is people powered. It is when I'm out here knocking on these doors, it's literally folks from the community, people that care, people that want to see better happen in our community for our children, for our loved ones, for our families. So I can definitely take some door knockers. We are out here knocking doors every day. But we do huge canvases on Saturdays and Sundays. So every single week, if you go to my website, which is www.scalesformagistrate.com, it has a canvas schedule on there. It has all of the events that we have on there and all the different ways that you can support. But I will take all the support. It is going to take a village.
Yeah.
I know.
But we have a lot of
that you will hope to represent.
Exactly. I'm
Okay.
fighting for the people. And so I need the people to come out and fight with me because I'm truly an advocate that justice is deserving to all. It should not
Absolutely.
matter how much money you have. It should not matter what your background is. It shouldn't even matter what attorney shows up in that courtroom for you. Justice is deserving to all. And
Absolutely.
one thing I also failed to mention is the magistrate sets bail.
Mm.
So if we want to talk about reform, that's where it starts at.
Hello.
That's where it starts at.
Yeah.
And I'm out of the candidates for this seat, I am the only candidate that's admitting to the fact that our system is broken.
Yeah.
And the magistrate is the place where reform can happen because it is the first stop. It's the first step.
Yeah.
A
Yeah.
lot of those cases that move up and get held over and all them stacked up charges that just get held over knowing there's not enough evidence there to support it, that's the magistrate that has
Yeah.
that power to make that decision. And when I say the decision, it's of course upholding the law, but we're going to make sure that law should be upheld fairly
Absolutely.
and consistently. It should not matter who you are, what background you have, or what type of how much money you have.
Yes,
None of
that's
those
true.
should play a factor.
That's true. Monn, you got any other questions for Ms. Scales?
Well, I do, but it will probably take us another hour and a half to go through them. So
Okay.
instead, what I'll tell you is, I personally commend you for the 180 that you've done with your life. That in and of itself, like I said, would be encompassed in the next series of questions. But you have definitely set a precedence on, you don't have, just because that's where you are doesn't mean that's where you have to stay.
Absolutely
And getting
not.
assistance along the way to better yourself. Hey, we all need it. We all take it. For those that refuse it, well, it just slows your own journey down and your own excellence down. So again, I commend you on stepping out, and I wish you well. I'm looking forward to having 6 up in that camp.
And the thing is, though, I think people don't understand. It's our journey. It's what we've endured through life. Being that single parent, hustling and bustling, driving your kids back and forth to school, and that's training camp. And people don't realize that gives women endurance if that was your journey. I mean, we all have a story, and it allows people to understand, like, wow, if she's come from that and she still made something fantastic of her life, I can do as a testament, I can do the same thing. So I definitely am blessed to know you, grateful that I met you in my part of my journey. And if it sees fit that you go on, I'll definitely miss you on council. But what I mean, you'll just be around the corner, you'll be up the street. But as one person told me years ago, locality doesn't change true friendship. So it doesn't matter where you are, it just matters where you are in my heart. So if you don't have anything else to share, are you done? You think you have something else you would like to let people know? Anything coming up that you might want somebody to come out to?
Yes, canvassing. We are canvassing this Saturday from 12 to 2 p.m. So I definitely get that everybody is going through something. I'm definitely learning that on this campaign trail. Everyone is going through something, and we're all stretched thin. But when I tell you guys, this is a fight for the community.
Yes.
And this is a fight for the people. If you can find an hour to whatever out of your time to just to come and knock a couple doors with me, it will be a tremendous amount of help, not only for me, but for you, your loved ones, and the communities that you're in.
Okay. And with that, we're going to let Ms. Scales go. And thank you again for coming on A New After Sunday. And then this is Monn Washington. You want to say a little spiel before we end it?
No, it's not a spiel. It's the truth. I tell everybody, beloveds, I love you, and there's nothing you can do about it.
And this is Angela D. Stribling. And you know what I say. Take care, stay blessed, and remember, pay attention, ladies and gentlemen. And see you next week.
Let's go vote.
Bye. Yes, go vote. That's the last thing.
May 16th.
May 16th. Yes. Go
Be
vote.
at the polls and not in the club polls.